Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I'm your host, John Pollock, and we'll take a look at this past weekend as World Series of Fighting 24 took place from Connecticut. Two former UFC title challengers squared off in the main event. Another fighter announced his retirement, and UFC bantamweight Cody Garbrandt is setting his sights on his next fight. All that and more with John Ramdeen and Robin Black coming up on today's show. On Saturday night, World Series of Fighting presented their 24th card, headlined by John Fitch and Yushin Okami, as Okami came down to 170 pounds. The first round saw a battle in the clinch throughout the opening 5 minutes. It was Fitch who was able to figure out Okami's rhythm and continually take down the former UFC fighter and work to various positions on top. A decision was rendered after 3 rounds, with Fitch awarded the victory from all 3 of the judges. Matt Hamill came out of retirement on Saturday's card, fighting for the first time since October of 2013. The TUF Season 3 fighter took on TUF Season 8 finalist Vinny Magalhães. Unlike the main event, this one did not require the judges, as Magalhães was able to lock on a fight-ending knee bar during a scramble on the mat, with Hamill tapping at 1 minute and 8 seconds of the opening round. With the win, Magalhães could be fighting light heavyweight champion David Branch in the near future. And UFC bantamweight Cody Garbrandt is setting his sights on John Lineker for his next fight. Garbrandt was on the MMA Hour last week with Ariel Helwani, stating that he wanted a fight with Brian Caraway, but that fight doesn't appear to be happening. Garbrandt mentioned fighting John Lineker, as he feels it would be a great fight, with Lineker recently moving up from the flyweight division after a number of weight issues at 125 pounds. Garbrandt is currently 7-0 and has 2 victories inside of the UFC. Tune in this Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for a special 1-hour pre-fight show, as John Ramdeen, Robin Black, and myself will get you set for all of the fights coming your way from Dublin, Ireland. And then the main card is airing here in Canada on Fight Network, headlined by Dustin Poirier and Joseph Duffy in lightweight action. I'm here with John Ramdeen and Robin Black. We're coming out of a weekend that produced World Series of Fighting number 24. What did you think of this particular event? World Series of Fighting events are kind of something unto their own.
Yeah, I mean, I dug it. I think if you're a hardcore fan of mixed martial arts, I mean, John Fitch, Yushin Okami, and I know there's a lot of casual fans. As a matter of fact, there's fans in our audience like, oh, stinker Reno. Sometimes this is what you've got to do when you're fighting a guy like Yushin Okami, who's big and strong, and he's going to knock your block off if you don't try to neutralize his attack. John Fitch did exactly what he needed to do. He John Fitched him, and that's what it comes down to. Ivanov getting his stoppage victory over Mayman. I mean, what more do you want? As well as Vinny Magalhães in the knee bar, which means to me, Matt Hamill just making a huge error, and I would not be surprised if we saw him hang up the gloves again.
That one was an interesting one because we're watching it, and I'm sitting there with some friends, and we're saying, you know, what do you do here? You don't go to the ground with Magalhães, and you're like, how's Magalhães gonna get this to the ground? You know, it's gonna be hard to get Matt Hamill. How's he gonna do it? Oh, he got knocked down.
Yeah.
He got dropped. So then you drop a guy. The lesson is
Luke Rockhold approach.
Yeah, exactly. Luke Rockhold said that in his last fight too. How are you going to get Machida down? Oh, I'm just going to knock him down, which he did.
Yeah.
But same deal here. But I guess that's a lesson for there are levels of jiu-jitsu, and I mean, I don't know if you just weren't paying attention, but Vinny is like one of those guys at that level. So even he's discombobulated and he's kind of messed up, don't go to the ground with him. Yeah. But that one was a lot of fun.
Are you guys in favor of a lot of the focus on the broadcast Saturday night was pushing the 8-man one-night tournament next month, and the fact that the brackets were released? Do you like this idea?
I love the tournament. I mean, it's something new. It's something if you
Is it something new?
No. I mean, it's something new again, and the fact that
should be the tagline.
Times they are a changing back.
Something new again.
Times they are a changing back.
Casual fans that tune into the UFC, they don't get to see this. So if you're new to the sport, and I have friends that they weren't sports fans, but as soon as they saw mixed martial arts, like, wow, this is a sport for me. Now you add new elements to it, like this tournament. I think this is something cool for both the hardcore fans and some new fans to mixed martial arts. And our guy Mike Ricci, the Canadian, all in action in that tournament. But Brian Foster is going to be very difficult to defeat.
I hate it. I do. I got to admit, I absolutely do hate it. Part of me, the part of me that is just a crazy fan, really likes it. I like that old school flavor to it. I like the fact that this is the root of the fighting. But the guy who really cares about the sport, and the guy who really cares about the athlete and the athletes, and the guy who looks at what this does to fighters, and thinks about commissions and things like that. When you have one fight, Ramdeen and I fight, he submits me in 45 seconds, I'm suspended for 7 to 14 days on the spot. You can't fight 3 times in a night in 2015. This game is too dangerous. It's not safe. Some commission somewhere has to bend or break or ignore the rules.
Let's not forget
to
this
even
was
allow
earmarked
this to happen.
for Seattle, and they were like, no, you're not doing a one-night tournament
Exactly.
where you could be fighting 3 times. They ran to another
Yeah, the
state
commission shop.
that would put this up. I mean, say what you will, but at least the 4-man tournaments, there is that special provision. You're not going to fight more than 5 rounds in one night. No. In this one, there's potential for 9 for some of these guys.
No, and I totally understand that. Of course, safety is paramount, but really, you look at what Adam Ward sustained in that fight against the gladiator Rick Glenn. He got his block knocked off. Rick Glenn took him out. It's a dangerous sport.
Yeah, but if Ward found a way to submit Rick Glenn, are we going to let him fight again later? That's
why you have reserve guys.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Part of me that just wants to be entertained, but I think we allow that part of us to push too hard a lot in the sport. As a result, sometimes we undervalue Fitch versus Okami. The beauty of these guys spending a lifetime to get together to put on that moment for us, it's automatically a good fight. It's automatically good. If you say this fight's good and that fight isn't, you are undervaluing just the act of getting in and fighting and putting yourself in danger. Because of our desire to see more and more all the time, why don't we just put a fucking bear in there? You know, we put a bear in there with a guy. That'll be exciting. We know it's going to be a finish, but, you know, eventually...
We just got our fatal opponent for Horizon.
However, one of the things I like is you talk to Pat Miletich, and he said, you know, as a martial artist, he said, you're trying to solve the riddles. And, you know, when fighters sign on the dotted line, they know who their opponent is. They've got 10+ weeks to get ready for that specific opponent. In a tournament, it's like you're trying to learn on the fly. You're trying to figure out a game plan in the back as you're getting ready to face a guy that you haven't prepared for. So I think from a martial arts standpoint, I think it's very, very interesting, and that's why I love it.
It from the standpoint of the fighters. I can see these guys sitting there just frothing at the idea. It's amazing to get to fight once, but you got an injured arm and you can't quite see out of one eye, and you got to fight that guy who you just realized won. That challenge, of course, is incredible to the fighters, but eventually we got to draw the line.
There was a time, I think, in 1999 where we realized maybe more than one fight in one night is a little nuts, but we'll find out. That's their big hook for November for World Series of Fighting number 25. We've got more Fight News Now Extra, so stay tuned.